Why is your ex an ex? I always had a feeling in my gut that she was hiding something from me. One day she left her email up on my computer and I see a reply to a Craigslist ad about some truck she and her husband were selling. She had told me they had been divorced for a while. I call the guy and ask if they're currently together. He says yes and I tell him what she's been up to and the rest is history. Edit, thanks for the gold random Redditor. Didn't really expect this to get as much attention as it did, haha. He was being distant. He was tagged in a bunch of pictures with another girl on Facebook. When I questioned him about why he was spending time with her and not me, he said, "Don't worry, she's just a family friend. We grew up together. She's like a sister." Then he knocked her up. Edit, my favorite part is that their baby was born on my birthday. Planned on moving out together into a rental house closer to our college campus. Everything seemed to be lining up with her parents' approval after she's been saving for a year out of high school. Finally off to college and wanted to see other people. Got knocked up. 4.0, scholarships and more all down the drain at the moment. Tried to come back and ask me to help raise the child of the guy she left me for. I'm now happily living with my 3 closest friends instead and finally over her. Also used the money I was saving for her birthday, Christmas, and anniversary gifts and bought a motorcycle. More fun to ride that anyways. I wish I could say because she kissed someone else when she was stoned or because she was letting a long-distance guy duck up our relationship, but in all honesty I didn't dump her when I should have, and instead I let her have the satisfaction of dumping me. Realized the relationship just wasn't for me, and then figured out he was cheating on me. Kind of worked out because I really didn't care that much anymore. Later, I found out this other girl was 14. He was 34 at the time. Because she didn't have friends and needed to work on herself. Meaning, she had to get back to being addicted to drugs, and start hanging out with all my friends I tried to get her to hang out with before we broke up. And sleeping with them too. That was great. Lol. Also she stole my N64. TCH. She was a great girl, caring, loving, thoughtful and strong person. We were each other's best friends and we shared so many milestones with each other. We just ended up wanting different things in life and decided to end it. Felt like an okay decision at the time and sometimes feels like we've made the biggest mistake of our lives by separating. Nonetheless, I want her to find her happiness and achieve great things that I know she will. Although I couldn't be with her for the rest of the journey, I am glad we had a part to play in each other's lives which changed us for the better. Cheated on me for months. Then spray painted my friend's car and got arrested. Now if he speaks to me it violates his probation. Because I spent years ignoring her, caught up in my own world while she languished without me being part of her life. I was physically there, but not emotionally, sexually or romantically. I made her fall out of love with me. The saddest part for me is that I never stopped loving her, even when I was self-absorbed and crazy, and now that I'm not crazy anymore, I can't remember how I made her fall in love with me back in the day. I ruined our relationship and have no idea how to repair it. Edit, thank you so much for the gold. She liked to call me stupid to my face, believing primarily that because she had a better degree than me that automatically made her smarter. Edit, for the record, my degree is in art/psych and hers was English/rhetoric. I don't regret the path I chose, only that I got with someone who considers that as relationship criteria. We were having a hard time dealing with a suicidal daughter and some failed investment. I got really sick. She decided she needed to spend time with another guy rather than give me support. After 24 years of marriage and supporting her through 3 cesarean births, 3 other major operations, seemingly continual conflict with her family, the death of her father and a change in career, the one time I actually needed her support she didn't give a shit. Edit, thank you for the gilding. I am humbled. Violent angry outbursts. Hardcore video game addiction. Violent angry outbursts at said video games. Lack of employment. Suicidal threats when I did something wrong. Suicidal threats when the game did something wrong. suicidal threats when I tried to leave. I stayed for 5 years. I still cringe when someone raises their voice or when a door slams too hard. Yes, he's still alive. He was committed twice after I left for suicide attempts. It's been a number of years. I last heard that he was a supervisor of a carpet/flooring store and getting married. Guess he figured his shit out. Edit, holy crap. I wasn't expecting this to blow up. Anyone that needs to talk about their horrible angry exes can PM me. I'll totally talk to you. Please remember, if you feel threatened in your relationship, that there are resources and people that can help you get out. Even if it's not that bad. Nobody needs to live in fear of what will happen if you piss off your so. Thanks for all the Reddit love. I'm in a much better place now. Edit 2, the amount of PMs I'm getting is depressing. I hope everyone has found a happy place and a healthy relationship in the end. Edit 3, the gold wasn't necessary. But thank you. After nearly 8 years, he couldn't communicate his feelings, he couldn't tell me he loved me, he couldn't commit to marriage, and he believes that the emotional part of a relationship is not a priority. I ended things and he didn't disagree with anything I said, which is as listed above, plus 8 years of stagnancy rehashed. We are still friends and we care deeply for each other, but he finally admitted he wasn't in love with me and didn't always feel like marriage was right for us. I told him that no matter how bad things could get, and they were never bad, they just weren't growing, the love and commitment should always feel certain. The fact that he never felt certain is the reason we aren't together, and I'm the one who made the decision. It stung, but it hurt more to be in love and not be loved in return. The most tragic of all is that when I grew exhausted with fighting to be loved, I ended it. Now, I'm feeling the inkling of new love and he's finally recognizing the needs I begged for weren't all that awful. It's hard for him right now and it is sad to hear him express his feelings now that my love ran out. Had this girl cheat on me, her best friend called me up and confessed what had been going on, and saying that I was the best boyfriend my ex ever had, but she was cheating on me as I was speaking to her friend on the phone. It took everything in my power to not go over there and break in on this shit show. I waited until the next day when she got home from her friend's place. All my stuff was packed and by the door and I was patiently waiting in the living room. I then went on a 2-hour lecture about everything I could think of. Trying to make her feel like a horrible person, pretty sure I accomplished. She didn't say one word that whole time, didn't deny anything, didn't try to defend herself, she just took it. It actually freaked me out a bit as me and her were used to battling back and forth over things. I had a ring picked out and a plan to ask her to marry me dodged a bullet there. She used self-harm in an attempt to manipulate and control my emotions and actions. That was hellish. Edit, hey guys, I was going to post it in every comment, but I'll post it here after seeing how many there are. If any of you need to talk to someone, my inbox is always open. Good on you all for making it through those situations. According to what she said while breaking up with me literally 2 hours ago, she doesn't see it working out in the long term. Edit, I fully didn't expect this to get any views. The flood of anonymous support and commiseration is just fucking amazing to me. Thank you all, I know that's impersonal, for the well wishes and wise perspectives. Speaking of perspective, I don't have it nearly as bad as most of the others in this thread. Relationships are a funny thing. There are right people and wrong people, and the right time and the wrong time for both you and the other person. And for a relationship to work, it needs to be with the right person at the right time in each of your lives. Even though we were right for each other, it was simply the wrong time for her. Her father died in house fire the day after our 4th date. She said she couldn't do a relationship at the time, I understood. A few weeks later we start hanging out again as friends. We ended up giving it a further shot, and a month after that she still just wasn't in a place where she felt she could invest emotionally, so she ended it. Because he beat and raped me. Often. Took me a couple of years before I was able to finally screw up the courage to leave because he told me over and over again that if I did, he'd kill me. Given the violence I'd seen from him in the 8 years we were together, I had no reason to think he wouldn't finally snap out of blind rage and make good on his threat. He hit me in the head with a closed fist over and over one night, causing the side of my face to swell to about twice its size because I came home 20 minutes late after he let me go out with my best friend after work. I disrespected and took advantage of him. So, to actually leave and tell him I no longer loved him took a fair amount of courage. It's an insidious thing that an abuser like him does to their victim. Over a period of years, 8 in my case, you really do begin to believe you're a worthless piece of shit that nobody else in the world would want. God knows you've heard it enough times. But, eventually the self-esteem and fire in your belly that you once had prior to meeting shithead starts to re-emerge and you decide you can and must leave. So you get your ducks in a row financially, not easy when you aren't in charge of the finances, and get the duck out. So I did. First one, cheated. Second one, I blurted out I'm leaving you instead of I love you. Low moment. Third one, moved far away for school. Fourth, I went far away for school, didn't want to do long distance. Fifth, was super jealous. Wouldn't let me have female friends, of which I had several. Turns out I valued them more than her. Sixth, kept accusing me of trying to sleep with her friends. Admittedly, one of her friends came over drunk and tried to sleep with me, but I put her to bed and stayed up all night so she wouldn't leave/drive. I didn't know where she lived. Seventh was my fiancée. Real love of my life. Unmedicated bipolar. She killed herself in my bathroom. Eighth was a girl I dated to get my friends and family off my back about moving on. Dumped her because I couldn't pretend to give half a shit about her. I don't date anymore. Where to begin? First point, was French Canadian. That should be all is necessary, but it gets better. I awoke one morning to him not sleeping in the bedroom. Go out to find him on the couch. Tells me to go read a letter he had written. Ezel made the letter all the better. I had 3 rules to live by in order to stay together. 1. All my money was to go into his bank account and he would give me an allowance that he saw fit. 2. I was to euthanize my 3-year-old dog in the next 2 weeks. Merely because he was epileptic. Bonus tip. The dog is still alive 6 years later and hasn't had any seizures. 3. I was to move to rural Quebec and have no friends or family and basically become a barefoot baby machine. All in the matter of 2 weeks. I still have the letter. He then refused to move out of the house. Had to have the police involved. Crying ensued. Stalked me for 5 years. I could go on and on. I was a 24-year-old living in BC. TL/Doctor, psycho French Canadian makes ultimatum letter and throws tantrum when I broke up with him many ways. AskReddit, not all French Canadians are bad, this one just happened to be. I mainly expected this post to be ignored. Sorry to those who I offended. I can post the letter, I have to dig it up though.